We're here today at the 2011 Jackson County Cotton Production Meeting, and with us we have Philip Roberts from the University of Georgia. He's an extension entomologist, and he's going to talk to us today about insect scouting and management in cotton.
Thank you. If we look at cotton insect control and cotton insect management, cotton's really got a good story to tell. And in the state of Georgia, just 25 years ago, on average, we sprayed cotton 15, 16 times. That's on average. It wasn't uncommon for fields to be sprayed up to 20 times with an insecticide. If we look to where we are in recent years, and I'm sure it's the same, I know it's the same here in Jackson County, we're spraying cotton just 2 to 3 times, so it's a real good story to tell. But how did we get there? How did we see this great reduction in insecticides? Well, first, elimination of the boll weevil reduced a lot of those sprays that were needed. But when we did that, we were able to start using IPM, utilize natural processes in the field, predators and parasites, as far as them attacking some of our primary pests. And of course, we can't ignore the value of BT cottons. That really provides very good control of our caterpillar pest. Now, in recent years, though, we've probably got a little lax and probably drifted away from true integrated pest management, but I think history shows us that IPM has value, and I believe IPM still brings value to the grower today, even in these systems where we do have these 2-gene BT cottons. Now, when we think about IPM, we're simply trying to integrate all available control tactics to minimize economic losses and any harmful environmental side effects. And when I think of IPM, I think there's a premium placed on knowledge. That's knowledge of the pest itself, or the various pests we deal with in cotton, but also knowledge of the plant, your production system. What practices do you do? How do those practices influence the level of pest pressure we may see from these individual pests? So knowledge of the system, it allows us to make good decisions. And one of the things I've tried to share with our growers today is how can we reduce the risk or likelihood of having problems with some of our more common pests. And if we look back at the state of Georgia over the last 15 years, we basically have 3 groups, or 3 primary pest groups, where we spend over 90% of our insect management dollars. Number 1 is thrips. That's an early season pest. Number 2 would be corn earworms. And number 3 would be our stink bug complex, our boll-feeding bug complex. Now that's where a lot of our decisions are made during the year in terms of foliar insecticide use. With thrips, we tend to, most of that expense is associated with our at-plant insecticides and sometimes foliar insecticides, which we hope to avoid. Hopefully we can manage thrips with our at-plant treatments. For corn earworms, we're planting BT cottons on most of our acres, so most of the expense associated with corn earworm management is associated with our tech fee for the BT transgenic traits. But in stink bugs, most of our expense is actually foliar applications. But when we think of thrips, just understanding thrips and knowing as much as we can about that pest, and if you think about thrips management on cotton in your particular operation, they're very consistent pests. And there are actually certain situations where we tend to see higher populations of thrips and perhaps greater damage from thrips. Just 2 examples are planting date and tillage. On planting date, we tend to see our highest population of thrips on the early side of our planting window. In our state, that would be cotton planted in April and maybe the first week or so in May. That's when we typically see our highest populations of thrips. Also, in some years on our early planted cotton, we may experience cool temperatures, which may slow plant growth. And anything that slows plant growth or development during the seedling stage, that really allows thrips to cause us a lot more injury and losses in terms of yield potential. So planting date can really have a big impact on the level of thrips we expect to see. The other thing is Tillage practice. We know we have less thrips where we have reduced tillage, so that's just a couple of factors that may influence what we would expect in terms of thrips and may influence the type of insecticides we use. The other point I'll make is the 2-gene Bt cottons. They're very good technologies, superior in terms of controlling insects compared with the single-gene Bt cottons we planted for so many years, but there's still a need for IPM. There's still value to you as a grower to utilize good IPM principles and good IPM practices. And again, stink bugs are the primary pests we're going to be targeting with most of our sprays, but we need to get out there and scout for all insect pests and treat only on an as-needed basis. But when we treat a pest like stink bugs, let's be aware of what's going on with other pests in the field. Let's make sure when we're targeting a stink bug, we think about the potential risk of flaring up another pest such as corn earworm or spider mites, for example. But again, a lot of value in scouting. And for us to be profitable or maximize profits, I think IPM has proven over the years it is the way we need to be going.
Good information. Thank you, Philip Roberts from University of Georgia. I'm Doug Mayo from the Jackson County Extension Office, coming to you today from the 2011 Cotton Production Meeting.